Hello and welcome to day 0 of my MA2 placement experience. This is basically a video log style video, funnily enough, of my placement experiences, just so I can share it with you in order to adhere to this, the MA2 placement handbook, wherein it does say that to meet the criteria of the placement I have to keep a placement diary in which I will write down things which I may use as evidence of my own learning and skills development. Now, I'll have a smaller real diary of just a couple of notes here and there wherein I will just write things down as they happen so I don't forget them during the day, but this is primarily my placement diary. I kind of wanted to take a different spin on it because I feel that a lot gets lost in translation if you're writing it out. You're thinking about what you're writing and then you're changing it. You know, I've been there before. Oh, that didn't sound too great. Maybe I'll change it here and just make it sound like it was a little bit better. But this will just be completely off the cuff. It's not scripted, just shooting from the hip. As soon as things happen, I'll report back to them on here, just so that minimal is lost in translation, so that everyone can kind of keep up with me on this. So, right here it says, it's not just a what have you done on placement, but a record of what you have learned, tried, and critically reflected on. So, what I take from that is that I need to, first of all, explain what I've done on a day-to-day basis. This is what I have done, this is why it was done, and also I want to say, personally, how it has affected me, how it's been good, how it's been bad, how it could have been better, how it could have maybe been a little bit worse, what the sort of internal factors of the day-to-day running of my placement has been. The diary should also contain a reflection on the transferable skills which you have developed through placement. Okay, so first of all, the placement that I'm on, since I haven't mentioned that already, is the Dundee University Nursery, which is out there somewhere. The reason I've chosen this is that the MA2 placement specifically states you can't take a placement within a Scottish primary school. It has to be out with that so that you can develop as a professional in sort of other areas of professionalism, as opposed to focusing primarily on, you know, being a teacher, because this is what you're going to be. It's to kind of get a better idea of maybe the professionals that work alongside teachers. It's a lot of interagency sort of things feed into that as well, so that's really good to know. Originally, the university were helping to source placements, so what they decided was they had visiting speakers, and that was fine. Apologies if I keep looking up and down, I'm kind of looking at myself but also trying to focus on the camera without blurring a little bit. So originally the university had visiting speakers come in and they would say, you can come and do placement with us here, we're based here, these are some of the contacts we have, these are some of the things you might be doing. So originally I did go with one of those. I went to the Dundee Rep Centre where I filled in an application form, and I went for an interview with 3 other candidates. Unfortunately, I didn't get selected for that. I've reflected on that myself. This can be found in the placement folder, which I'm keeping alongside this video series, in which I noticed the key areas in which I maybe went wrong. I feel that I performed very well in the interview. I feel that I got along well with the other candidates, and I feel like I did ask a lot of the right questions, but I think the final application form that she asked us to fill in, I could have perhaps performed a little bit better on. I didn't maybe answer as much of the questions as fully as I could have, and I believe that's ultimately what had let me down. So after reflecting on that, I decided to contact the university's nursery, and after hearing from the module leader that we will have a compulsory nursery / early years placement in 3rd year, I kind of made the point that I wouldn't be being a nursery sort of professional there. I'll be studying other things within the nursery, within the context of the nursery, in order to better my professional competency, I believe would be the word to use there. So I'll just read here. This is the proposal that I sent in that was approved by the university a few months back. It says here that I have decided to contact the university's private nursery. I'm aware that in the third year I have the compulsory nursery early years placement, as I've said. However, I feel that I can still gain valuable experiences by this year by focusing on different aspects of the establishment. So, by that I mean, when in the nursery, I intend to follow a strict set of clear-cut goals that I have made for myself so that I can use the experiences I gain to better my classroom practice for the future. The first thing that I want to do is learn about the structural and managerial aspects of the nursery. So, what does that entail? It's written down here, but I'd rather sort of explain it a little bit better because there was only so much you could really say in 500 words, which was the word limit of the proposal. I want to find out how the nursery is run. I want to know, who has the keys, who opens, who closes, what time the drop-offs are for the children, what time the pickups are, how often children are in, what's the process, is there a signing in process to keep the nursery safe, what kind of safety is in charge, just everything from a managerial standpoint. I want to learn how it is done, who does it, who's responsible, why it's important, and just sort of make notes of all of that. But as a sort of sub category in that, I want to find out about resources. Now, I know that in nurseries that is primarily learning through play. There's not really written activities or the things that we'd find typically in a primary school. So I want to know what the thinking is that goes into that is sort of behind the ordering of resources. So if someone decides, we should have a fish tank for the nursery, say, just as a very poorly crafted example, why is that? What will the children learn from that? How does that work? What benefits does that give? And then I want to also find out, is that necessary? Is that really good? Is that really bad? And is there maybe an alternative that was cheaper, but a little bit less effective? Is there an alternative that was maybe dearer, but a little bit more effective? If you know where I'm coming from here, just to see the effectiveness and the usefulness of resources and the thought that goes into that. Who has the input? Do the parents maybe have a say? Do the children? That's something that I want to find out. Why am I doing that, you might ask? It's to see for myself in the future. Obviously, as a classroom teacher, a lot of time is spent in gathering resources and even creating resources and crafting them yourself if need be, if there's none that you can find in the library or on the internet or any other mediums of finding said resources. So I want to know what the sort of driving factors are, what the decisions are made on, so that for myself it will be easier to order them because I know what I'm looking for, I know what's important. I mean, it's obviously important to strike the balance between fun and sort of educational, and there's no reason why educational things can't be fun. So it's kind of knowing the audience sort of thing. It's kind of like it's sort of like knowing your audience. It's knowing what's interesting to children and sort of introducing that. Now, as an opening point to that, after a meeting with the nursery manager, we did discuss some things, and a lot of the things that go into the sort of health side of the nursery include dancing. It's something that they all do, and usually that is all set to the music of the children's choice because it's whatever they are into. So I'm going to see how that maybe transfers. Now, before I ramble on any more about that, this will obviously be a lot more structured as the days go on. I can guarantee you of that. Secondly, I would like to focus on children between the ages of birth and 3 and study the way in which language develops. Now, the story behind that is in my first year, I chose an exam question which focused on language development. Now, it entailed that I had to do quite a bit of reading behind this topic, and then I developed quite an interest in it. I am very interested in the way because there isn't really a sort of clear-cut answer as to how language develops. There are many, many theories from Noam Chomsky and Piaget and just various other people. So there is no really cut and dry answer to how language develops. All we know is it does. There are many theories behind it, but there's no concrete evidence there. So in order to sort of study this, I wanted to develop some activities, obviously through play, because nursery through play, in which, sort of like speech activities, so I can maybe see how children's language is developing in the very early stages. I want to try and monitor this on maybe a child by child basis. Now I know that there can be anywhere up to 40 children in the nursery at one time, and it is a very, very small nursery. So I will probably not, I'll probably just have a little sub group of children that I will focus on specifically, and I will see how their language develops through time, because I am there for a 6-week period, so I will be able to hopefully see a little bit of incremental progression, and that will hopefully be useful. Now, why will this be useful? What is the transferable skill behind this? Basically, when I'm, fingers crossed, when I'm a qualified practitioner at a school, teacher for short obviously, when I am qualified as that, I would like to be able to sort of pinpoint maybe where things have gone wrong with children who have speech difficulties. If a child is coming to me and in the earlier years of school saying maybe not speaking correctly, maybe having a little bit of a barrier to their language, I'll hopefully from this experience be able to identify where the problems are, where the problems have maybe lay, where they've maybe tripped up in the early stages, and hopefully by identifying that and noticing that quickly and sort of knowing what to look for, being pretty switched on when it comes to that, I will be able to obviously deal with the child a lot quicker, and hopefully it will make a difference to them, as opposed to maybe going a little bit unnoticed for a while, which could have been like a key time stage for language development. So again, I have a very bad tendency to ramble. By carrying out my research within these two very different areas of the nursery, I will hopefully have a very diverse placement experience, an experience which I hope will broaden my knowledge of the needs of children both physically through the use of resources and mentally by way of language development. Okay, so that was a lot of talking to do. I will keep obviously up to date every day. As soon as I walk through the door there, I will come straight to the computer and I will tell everything that's happened. I have my notepad to the side of obviously just taking quick notes, and that will be found in the placement folder alongside any research I do and other things of that nature. So thank you very much for joining me. This has been day 0. Tomorrow is the first day of placement. What I intend to do tomorrow is just shadow the nursery owner. Well, not manager, of course. I want to shadow her and just sort of see what a day in the life is of her, and then hopefully we'll take it from there on a day-to-day basis and then switch over to the language development afterwards. So again, thank you so much for joining me on day 0, and be sure to join me tomorrow for day 1, where hopefully things will go smoothly and swimmingly, and if not, you'll be sure to hear about it. Thank you so much.